Why don't people have a good relationship with themselves? To answer this question, I made some research and also drew from my own experience. I thought that answering this question would give me insight as to why I did not develop a loving relationship with myself while growing up, which might apply to you as well. So why don't people develop a more self-loving relationship? Well, humans learn their behavior from their environment. The most impactful environment that children have while growing up is of course their family. So the first obvious answer as to why adults neglect their needs is because their parents don't teach them how to nurture themselves. Instead, what I have witnessed happening in families is that there is an emphasis placed on how to behave in relation to other people mostly. We're being taught and encouraged to be sociable, to communicate and build relationships and friendships with our classmates. However, I haven't seen many parents teach the child how to self-reflect and satisfy its needs by itself. This leads to people seeking to satisfy their needs through others, which is not always very healthy. Of course, I'm well aware that this is not happening to all families. It is simply a tendency that I have noticed that exists. So at that point I wondered, why are parents not teaching their children how to develop a better relationship with themselves? Well, the answer here I believe is quite obvious. How are you going to teach something you don't know how to do yourself? Most parents, especially the older generations, don't have a clue about what self-reflection is. Thankfully, this trend is more and more diminishing and younger generations prioritize their own needs more. However, does prioritizing one's own needs over others make someone selfish? And how does that relate to the topic that is being discussed in the first place? To answer the first question, putting one's own needs over others, in my opinion, does not make them necessarily selfish. And here is the contrast, the self versus the others. My opinion is that a truly selfish person only thinks about themselves and wants to take and not give. On the other side of the selfishness spectrum, though, one can find people who are supposedly selfless and tend to give to others more than they take, many times at their own expense, only living for others. Now, is the latter healthier than the former? I think I disagree. And here is why. I believe that being a taker versus being a giver are two sides of the same coin, because in my experience with people who give a lot, I have found that they give, but in a sense they do it to make you feel indebted to them. Now, I'm not denying that there are people who give without wanting something in return, but if they exist, they must be the minority. Even those who give without seemingly wanting something in return, more often than not do it because it gives them a moral satisfaction to do so. So, if being totally on the taking side and totally on the giving side is unhealthy, could we agree that finding a balance between the two is more healthy? Looking after one's own needs that develops the relationship with the self, while at the same time building a relationship with others. That should be the key. Then why is it not happening? And this gives the answer to the second question stated above on how it relates to our main topic. Could it be that one of the reasons parents don't teach their children to love themselves more is because they fear they might spoil them and become selfish, only looking after themselves? There has to be a truth to this, at least to some extent. But then again, what if this was just an excuse that parents give in order to unconsciously neglect their children? What if parents don't like to nurture healthy children because healthy children might force them to stir some shit inside them? And then what would happen if the parent was also made to look inside himself or herself? What would they find hidden deep inside? And then, oh, the horror. Because this is, I believe, the real reason why people prioritize their relationship with others and neglect their own self-development. Unresolved childhood trauma. Thanks for watching.